Welcome to Field Caping 101. First thing you decide when the animal's down on the ground, are you going to mount it? Because if you're going to mount it, you don't need to split all the way up the brisket. You don't need to slit its throat. We gutted this animal. We stopped at his sternum. That's as far as you need to go. Now what we're going to do, you always hear go back behind the shoulder. I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to cut all the way up here. I'm going to cut all the way down the back of his neck. Important for people in the field to keep that line straight down the back, because that's where the taxidermists are going to sew it up. If it's an antelope, you have a mane. If it's an elk, you have a brown streak down the back. If it's a deer, you usually got a black stripe. Just try to stay right in the middle of that. So I'll make this incision. I'll make this incision. I'll cut over his knee. I'll go up the back of his leg. When I get to his underarm, I'm cutting straight back to this incision. So you'll see all this take place little by little. The mistake people make is they'll go up the inside of the leg, they'll cut over to this next one. As soon as you cut over here, you made that cape too short. On a shoulder mount, you need all this brisket here. All of this is going to show. So go up the back of his leg, cut back this way. Always do knife blade up so you don't cut hair. Now I'm just going to start right back in here, because the taxidermist, when you bring it to him, he's going to make his incisions here and here. So you can just start right here at the back of his skull. On an antelope, I'm going to stay right in the middle of his mane. And when they're laying on the ground like this, I know it's tough, but visualize this is going to be the center of his back right there. Okay, we made our incision down the back. Nice straight line. Now we're going to cut over the knee. Okay, you cut over the knee. Now my next one, I'm going to go right up the back of the leg. Okay, on deer and elk, things like that, they have a tuft of hair. You stay in the middle of that on this antelope. Just stay right in between the brown and the white. What you want to do now is cut straight back. Not that cut across here that people do that ends up making the cape short. Because even if you're not going to get an animal mounted, capes are valuable. Taxidermists will buy them. We always need extra capes. From this point, I'll be able to skin all this out up to his head. I'll roll him over and do the same thing on the other side. Then I can sever that head, and that lessens that load. I can cut the shoulders off with a knife. Do the same thing with the hindquarters. Skin him all the way up to the back of his head. We're going to sever this with a knife, the spinal column from the skull, and that will get all of his neck out. That's very important, because the neck's the first part that heats up and can cause spoilage, and the bacteria set in and ruin a cape. Antelope are a species that you're usually hunting and the weather's hot, so you need to get all that neck meat out, get it cool, or get it to the taxidermist as soon as possible. You know, this white in here, you get blood on it, it will come out during the tanning process, but what the taxidermist looks for now is all this brisket. These are the swirls that were under his arms. Here's his legs. All of this would show on a full shoulder mount. So see how much of that brisket we have? If you ended up cutting it across here, we'd end up having to shorten the form and charge the customer more money, and then you don't have as pretty a mount. But this is a pretty cape for an old fighting antelope. And like I say, we'll fix this up. I can make points and do some magic. The one thing we can't do is make a cape longer if it's too short. So that's your tip for the day. Taxidermy tip. I'm Daryl. This is Matt. Daryl's Taxidermy in Grand Junction. Hope that helped you out.